My name is Kong Kie. I'm a composer based in Toronto. I have created this show Picnic in the Cemetery along with the help of many of my friends. I used to live near Mount Pleasant Cemetery, and I really enjoy going there with a flask of tea and lots of goodies just to have a walk and to have a picnic and just be quiet. Picnic inside the cemetery is very different than having a picnic anywhere else, because in a place like the Mount Pleasant, you see people on roller skates, on bikes, but you also see people on walking sticks, and then you have people just going for a stroll, but then you of course also run into people who are in mourning, and you're always surrounded by people who have already gone before you. Gradually, you can't help but just quiet down to a very contemplative state, and this show is a remembrance of that experience. Well, this show started with an album of the same name. In the early 2000s, I was touring as pianist and music director with the contemporary dance company La 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 Human Steps. I became very good friends with my musician colleagues, a couple string players, Simon Claude and Alexandre. And I wrote a bunch of music to amuse ourselves while on the road. So when I started to put this stage version of the show together, I invited my theater and dance friends to help me, and taking the lead from these fanciful and absurd titles, but also the abstract nature of the show, the show itself kind of just went in that direction as well. So that's how it came into being. The show falls under the broad umbrella of music theater, because it includes elements beyond just concert performance, just like you would expect from an opera or musical. So you have elements of theater, dance, or visual arts even, but you can also think of it as a concert plus experience, if you will. As you would expect from a good picnic spread, there has to be a variety, right? So the music is actually a mixture of styles. You get a little bit of people like Olafur Arnolds, Nils Frahm, Philip Glass, David Lang, Piazzolla, Schubert, Fauré, and hopefully a little bit of myself as well. So the musical language is both traditional and contemporary, a mixed bag, but always very melodious. And visually, my team from Hong Kong and Macau, we really aim to create an environment in which we can envelop the audience in the space to help them enter this imagined cemetery together with us, rather than just purely from watching us, so to speak. Well, the show itself is best experienced with our heart and our senses rather than our head. The show is kind of also a little bit like an art exhibition. If you think of each song as a painting, and by song I mean everything that comes along with it in this presentation, then the experience would be like looking at artwork in a gallery or in an art show, right? So each painting will have, or each artwork will have its own subject as a story to go with the subject matter of the show, but they don't always necessarily connect in a linear fashions. But you get an impression of each work, but collectively, in some mysterious way, they will form your whole experience. But most of all, I hope we may all feel like we are 8 or 9 years old again, sort of just entering into a little tent in our basements to play. There's definitely a sense of play in the creation of this work. And so I really hope that the audience would kind of like feel that they are part of this process, and that we are making and building this work together without instinct and imaginations, more so than just logic and reasoning.